The wind, at 600 feet above the astronomy tower, doesn't just blow, it screams, tearing at your robes and freezing the sweat on your back before you can even feel the fear. I am hovering in a blind spot beneath a heavy cloud bank, clutching a vibrating Clean Sweep 7 that has seen better decades, staring down at a nightmare geometry. Below me, 12 Death Eaters on sleek Nimbus racing brooms have formed a perfect, tightening noose around the highest parapets of Hogwarts, their wands flashing in synchronized rhythm as they hammer the ancient stone with blasting curses. The rhythmic boom, boom, boom of masonry exploding echoes in my chest, and I know exactly what the tactical situation is. I am one mediocre 7th-year Gryffindor student named Leo. I have exactly 3 shield charms left in my wand arm before muscle failure sets in, and the castle defenses are crumbling. There is no backup coming. The Order is fighting on the ground, the teachers are holding the Great Hall, and the sky belongs to the enemy. If I try to dogfight them, I will be dead in 12 seconds. If I do nothing, the astronomy tower falls, taking 50 first years sheltering inside with it. I look down at my broom handle, where I have carved a crude, jagged rune that Professor McGonagall called Suicidal, and Professor Flitwick called an insult to aerodynamics. It is a modification of a banishing charm meant for stunning Ukrainian ironbellies, a spell that requires you to fall faster than you can think. If you want to know how a forgotten student turned a chaotic freefall into the single most devastating aerial counterattack of the war, stay with me until the end of this story. Leo wasn't a hero, and he certainly wasn't a duelist. In the history of Hogwarts, his name usually appeared on detention lists for unauthorized broom modifications, or in the hospital wing records for crash landings.
He was the kind of wizard who scraped an acceptable in charms and failed transfiguration twice because he lacked the patience for elegance. But Leo understood kinetic energy. While the purebloods practiced fencing, Leo practiced diving. He knew that magic, like gravity, was a force, and if you hit something hard enough with both, the technique didn't matter. The war had turned the skies over Scotland into a kill zone. The Death Eaters had the speed, the money, and the darker curses. The student defenders were being picked off one by one, outmaneuvered by superior brooms and ruthless tactics. Tonight was the endgame. The ring of 12 attackers below was a siege-breaker formation, designed to collapse structures from the top down. They were disciplined, rhythmic, and arrogant. They weren't looking up. They didn't think anyone would be stupid enough to be hovering in the freezing thin air above the cloud layer. Read the following story with a warm, deep, and whimsical British accent, similar to a classic fantasy audiobook narrator. Use a slow, engaging pace. Especially not a boy with a broom that shook violently past 50 miles per hour. I watch the leader of the formation raise his wand. A jet of purple fire strikes the gargoyle protecting the tower's east flank, blowing it into gravel. The screaming of the younger students inside is lost in the wind, but I can feel it. My knuckles are white on the handle. I remember the library text I stole 3 weeks ago. A dusty manual on heavy dragon handling.
It described a technique called the aero-impactum, a pressurized cone of air created by a wizard falling at terminal velocity to knock a dragon out of the sky without killing it. It was theoretical. It required perfect wand alignment, absolute focus, and a terrifying amount of speed. Doing it on a broom was considered impossible. Doing it into a formation of 12 killers was suicide. But I check my pockets. No potions, no Peruvian instant darkness powder, just gravity and a bad idea. I tilt the nose of the clean sweep down. The wood groans. I don't accelerate yet. I just drift, letting the nose point directly at the empty circle of their circle. It looks like a bullseye made of green light and black robes. I take a breath, inhaling the ozone and the smell of burning stone. If I miss, I hit the castle roof at 200 miles an hour. If I pull up too early, the spell won't detonate. If I pull up too late, the G-force snaps my neck. It's a stupid plan. It's the only plan. I grip the handle. I whisper the incantation, wrapping the magic around the bristles of the broom, feeling it tighten like a pressurized skin. Then I kick off. The acceleration is instant and brutal. The wind roar vanishes, replaced by a high-pitched whine as the air barrier forms around me. I am a stone dropping into a pond, but the pond is made of enemies. In 2 seconds, I cross 200 feet. The protective cone of air hardens, compressing the atmosphere ahead of me into a solid battering ram. My vision blurs at the edges. I see them looking up now. They see a blur, a streak of red and gold dropping out of the clouds like a meteor. One of them fires a killing curse. The green bolt hits the shockwave in front of my broom and refracts harmlessly away. I am moving too fast for them to track. 3 seconds. I am inside their perimeter. I can see the fear in the eyes of the nearest Death Eater. The sudden realization that this isn't a duel, it's a collision. If this forgotten legend of Hogwarts is already touching your heart and you'd like to help keep these stories alive, you can support the channel by clicking the thanks button below the video. Every little bit helps me continue bringing you more hidden tales of courage and magic. 4 seconds. I am at the center of the ring, level with their heads. I scream the trigger word and yank the broom handle up with everything I have left in my body. The physics are impossible. The momentum has to go somewhere. The aero-impactum detonates. It is not an explosion of fire, but of pure compressed force. A shockwave of solid air expands outward from my dive point in a perfect, brutal circle. The sound is a crack that shatters windows in the Ravenclaw Tower. The effect is catastrophic for the enemy. The 12 Death Eaters are hit by a wall of air moving faster than sound. Their formation disintegrates instantly. I see brooms snap like matchsticks. I see robes tearing. I see dark wizards hurled violently backward, tumbling uncontrollably through the air, their wands spinning away into the darkness. The neat, deadly circle is blown apart as if a giant hand had swatted them all at once. The concussive force slams into me a split second later. My clean sweep, brave old wood, fractures down the middle. The world spins wildly. Sky, tower, ground, sky. I am falling, tumbling through the debris of the enemy squadron. I try to cast a cushioning charm, but my arm is numb, my wand hand useless.
I see the ground rushing up, the grass of the Quidditch pitch dark and hard. I brace for the end, knowing that at least the sky above the tower is empty. I wake up to silence. It is the heavy, thick silence of a hospital wing at 3 a.m. My body feels like it has been put through a mangle. Every inch of me is bruised, and my left arm is in a skeletal grow, radiating that familiar hot pain. I turn my head. Madame Pomfrey is there, adjusting a blanket on the bed next to me. She looks tired, her apron stained with dust. She sees me move and walks over, her expression stern, but her eyes soft. She tells me I fell 600 feet, but hit the greenhouse canopy, which slowed me down enough to only break 3 ribs and an arm. She tells me I am lucky to be alive. She tells me I am grounded from flying for the rest of my life. But then she leans in closer. She whispers that the astronomy tower still stands. She whispers that they found 12 enemy brooms scattered across the grounds, twisted beyond repair. She tells me that the Death Eaters retreated, thinking the castle had deployed a new high-yield magical cannon. They didn't know it was just one boy who turned himself into a bomb. The official ministry report filed weeks later would cite anomalous atmospheric discharge as the cause for the disrupted siege. The heroes of the Battle of Hogwarts were named as Potter, Weasley, Granger, Longbottom. Leo's name appeared nowhere in the history books. He never joined the Aurors. He went on to run a small broom repair shop in Bristol, fixing bent twigs and polishing handles. But sometimes veterans of the dark side would come into his shop, see the scar on his chin, and look at him with a strange, unsettled recognition. They remembered the sound of the sky tearing open. They remembered the night a single Gryffindor dive broke their line and saved a tower full of children. It reminds us that bravery isn't always about the complex duels or the ancient prophecies. Sometimes it's about looking at an impossible situation, realizing you have no good options, and deciding to become the most dangerous thing in the sky for 4 seconds. It teaches us that even the useless students, the ones who struggle with feathers and teacups, might be holding the one specific key to survival when the carefully laid plans of the powerful fall apart. If this forgotten legend of Hogwarts touched your heart, tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Leo's place? Like the video, share it with another Harry Potter fan, and subscribe to hear more hidden stories of courage, magic, and impossible odds. Sometimes the smallest spell is the one that saves the castle.